I think full circle for me, I wasn't supposed to be here, but I did have a chance and I am here. And the purpose of me being here is to be your bold moves bestie. Because we don't got time for slowness. Yes, life circumstances hit us. Sometimes it really does suck. Sometimes it's a gut punch. But getting back up, putting in a plan, and moving with action is what really needs to happen. I'm Claudia, and you're listening to She Built Success. No matter how hard I try to plan my life, things are uncontrollable. It's life. If you were to tell me at 25 that I would be married and with kids, that was in the plan. Of course, I'd be married and with kids. Like, who wouldn't? I wouldn't, because that was my plan. But if you were to tell me at 28 that things would drastically change, unexpectedly change, now that's a story for now. At 25, I was married to my husband and was expecting my first child, my first daughter. At 28, if you were to tell me that I find myself doing chest compressions to an unresponsive husband, not something that I would expect. Not something that I planned for. Definitely something that drastically changed how me and now my two girls live life. So today, on this episode, we get to be a little vulnerable. You get to know a little bit more about me, a story that I don't typically share. And I don't share it not because I'm ashamed or scared or hidden, but because it is a personal story. But more importantly, I feel it's time to share, time to open up, and time to let you in on a part of She Built Success and what that looks like for me. Like I was saying, at 28, I had to perform chest compressions. I found my husband unresponsive on the floor. My then almost 3-year-old daughter, who is the oldest at the time of 2, was not with me, and I am thankful that she was not. My 7th-month-old was, though, and that's my other daughter, so 2 daughters. My 7th-month-old was with me. I had to put her down, and I had to call 911 and perform those chest compressions, and it was eerie. I've never had to do CPR before. At that time, never took a CPR class. In that moment, there was it's like your body goes into shock, I guess, or disbelief. I can remember driving up to the house and I remember seeing a police car. Now, I know that you're probably like, well, why do you see a police car? The police car wasn't at the house. I was at the light prior to my house. But there was a police car there, and I remember thinking, and I took the tag, and the police car is not tag, but the number, and then he went on about his way straight, and I made the right turn to go to my house, trying to call my husband at the time, but he wasn't answering. So I was like, okay, maybe he's out, maybe he's running errands, things like that. Didn't really completely think, anything in depth about it. So I get to the house, and I'm hearing soap operas. We don't watch soap operas. Why are soap operas on? And it was about midday. My older daughter, like I said, was away. She was with her grandparents, my parents. They were headed to visit at the time my grandmother, which was already planned. All of this was planned. And so she was not with me, but like I said, my 7th-month-old was. I stepped into the house, a soap opera. Don't ask me which one. I guarantee you it's not on the air anymore. But I remember hearing that, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. News, yes. Sports, yes. Soap operas, no. And so as I'm coming up the steps, I see him just literally just laying there, and not obviously something that I was thinking of. So I called 911. That same police officer who was new, I remember he was new, he's a rookie, is the same one that I saw driving straight, because he was clearly the closest to my house at the time. And I remember him asking me, well, do you have any family that you can call? Or do you have anyone that you can call? And still in shock, I'm like, no. Like, I knew my parents were in the area, but they were traveling. So I said no. And my sister is in the military, so she wasn't stationed where we were at the time. So I was like, no, I don't. Now, mind you, just to give you some context, I come from a very large extended family. And in that large extended family, most of them are in my area. But I didn't think anything of that. That was not something that came to mind. So then I was like, wait a minute, my brother. I have a younger brother. So I call my younger brother, and distance wise, it takes a while, but it's about a little over an hour. I don't know. I don't have a real concept of time in that moment, but I know for sure he told me later he made it up there in less than an hour. So he was definitely, you know, making moves. So he was on his way. Now, typically, I found this out as well. When something like this happens, they treat it as, I believe it's a homicide. Don't quote me. For those of you that are in the legal space and know what it's really called, thumbs up. You can let me know. But I think it's called they treat it as a homicide. And so nobody's allowed in the area until they can do policey stuff. One of my thoughts was my kids won't be able to say daddy anymore. Um, that was tough. I was, whew, I was thankful that my brother could respond. Um, and I tried to call my parents. This was in 2011 that all this happened. So while phones were a thing then, they're my parents. So, not the fastest at technology. So I ended up leaving a message with one of my aunts in the area where they were going to visit my grandmother, which is about 6 hours from where we were living at the time. And I said, just when they get there, have them give me a call. I didn't say what the problem was. I didn't say what was going on. Just said, have them give me a call. I'm gonna tell the story a little bit scattered because I'm telling you as it's coming back to mind of just the pieces that I remember in all of this. But like I said, my brother got there in under an hour. And I remember thinking about the girls. But my older daughter, her first words were mama. That was her first. And I was like, yes, that's how it should be because, moms rock. My younger one, her first words and she said them prior to my husband passing, was dada. And I was like, seriously, dude? Like, of all the words, like, you can't say mommy first, like your sister? So he got to hear that. So I was very thankful for that. But she never knew him. My older one, obviously being a little bit, not by much, but a little bit older, did have a little bit more time with him. Back to the story, I'm putting you back into finding him and my brother now there with me. He was able to take my daughter, the 7-month-old at the time, and I think she had to eat at that point, so give her a bottle, and it was tough. I know for sure. Like I said, I called my aunt that was in the area that my parents and they ended up just doing a U-turn. They called me when they got there. They did a U-turn to come around. So mind you, it's a 6 hour difference in time. So there was some time for them to make it back down, but they unfortunately had to do a U-turn. And so somebody ended up, I don't remember who, but reaching out to my extended family in the area. And so they were on their way as well. So I remember I think it's the coroner who came in, and I didn't know it was a coroner at the time. I don't even know what the hell is going on outside my house. So, there's that. I'm inside my house. And I remember police officer was like, yeah, you should go upstairs. We're going to have to move the body. And I'm like, no, I'm staying here. Like loyalty is loyalty. He's like, no, this might be traumatic. No, it's not traumatic. Like, I'm okay. I can stay. I ended up just on his recommendation. I ended up not staying. I ended up moving when they did the move, but so I can't say what happened then aside from he was there one moment and not the next. One of the things that came out of this is like, of course, when you lose your spouse, you're considered a widow. That's not something, or I never said that. I still frankly don't. I'm not a big titles person, but widow was definitely not one of them. I was all of 28. So no, that's not a thing. Like, no. There was no denial in it. It was just weird for me. And, you get the form and it's like, what's your status? Married, single. Some of them have widow, some of them don't. I'd always check single. That was a shift. So to give some additional color, I told y'all I'm not a good linear person, so you're going to get this as it comes back. I had an interview set up prior to knowing his passing. And his passing, maybe I should give some context on that, was sudden. It was from a brain aneurysm, a berry aneurysm is what it's called. I never actually got the whole autopsy report. I know at that time my sister ended up flying in, so she was talking to the autopsy people. Can't remember the name of them, but the autopsy people, she was talking to them and they gave that. And so she passed it on to me as far as what was the cause. They think it's something from birth. They don't know for sure. So that was how he passed. So it was very sudden. There was frankly nothing we could do to prevent that. But a few things came out of that. One of them was I was comfortable with knowing that he was saved, and so I knew he was in heaven. There was no concerns there. But it sucked because we didn't have like a will or estate plan in place. But I'll that'll be estate planning will be for another day. But at that time we did not. And so it was really me and the girls at that point, me and my kid, my two girls. Now back to this interview. So I had scheduled an interview prior to knowing this whole life changing event was going to happen. So I had already spoken to the recruiter, and she called me the next day and she was like, okay, we got you set up for your interview. Go ahead, this is the date, this is the time. Are you good? And I was like, yeah, I could do it. I was like, my husband just passed. I didn't say it so bluntly, guys, but my husband just passed. And she was like, oh my gosh, how are you talking to me? And I'm like, dude, life has to go on. And that's not me being in denial or anything. I was very aware of what was happening, but I am also very goal driven and very goal oriented. And that was something that I knew was already set up. It was an interview that I had been waiting on for some time. And the fact that this is my window, let's go. The short, I can cut this one short, but I ended up getting the job. So that's the yay, thumbs up. And that'll come into play a little bit later. But I was met with that a lot. Like, how are you still happy? You can't take my joy away. How are you still functioning? Because I have two girls that depend on me. That's how I'm still functioning. Are you okay? And that's part of the reason why I did not like the widow thing. Because they'd be like, are you okay? I appreciate the sympathy. I learned to accept this. I appreciate the sympathy, but I don't need the sympathy. That sounds so mean, so so heartless. But I understand that there's compassion there because you've lost somebody that you love. But for me, I always felt like you say the word widow and it's like your life's over. Dude, I'm 28. I have a lot of life to still live. My intent is to make it to 100. So we got some stuff to do. So in that moment, the kids, we did these things called what we call them baby books. And it has my older one had one prior to my husband's passing, and my younger one got one after. But it's usually the first year of life and like all the different family events and pictures with us in it and things like that. So my younger one, I'm glad we did take the pictures that we took, but she has the baby book and it has things like birth weight, and my kids were freaking whales. They were ginormous, and I'm all of 5'1", so that's saying a lot. They were close, both of them close to 9 pounds. They got these baby books, and in it are pictures of their dad. And one thing I've always told my kids is, if you ever have any questions, if you ever are, whatever, you just want to know something. I might not know everything, but his family would also know, so I'd be able to engage them. And I've always left that open. I always talk about him with them, even to this day. If they have any questions, we sometimes joke like, "Oh, you got that from your dad. You definitely didn't get that from me." So everyone as a family, we're good. I now have a partner, and so that part's cool too. It's very challenging sometimes to hear the word widow to me, even still, and be like, yeah, that's me, because I don't identify that way. Mine is single mom, and I'm okay with that. And that story. But here's the plot twist, because life always gives us unexpected things, I've learned. I was born a preemie, and I was not expected to live. I was born 1 pound, 12 ounces, 9 inches long, just about 4 months early. I was born a Taurus. I was conceived a Leo. Y'all do the math. So I was born in April, supposed to be born in August. I joke and say I had stuff to do. Like, God said, guess what? Let's go. And I said, yep, you know what? I'm with you on that. I can say I had a lot of prayer. My family is very heavy into just making sure that we keep God centered. And there was a lot of prayer to see me through my preemie. Granted, I don't remember. I'm going by stories. But I remember all throughout life hearing, you're a miracle baby. And yes, I do not take for granted the fact that I'm actually not supposed to be here. But even in that, the undercurrent was there's always a purpose. For me, it felt like God could have just been like, deuces, dude, come on, come home with me when I was a baby. And he was like, nah, we got stuff to do. Let's get this assignment right. And so now I'm living my life in this assignment. I am doing things like Capital Consulting Group. I am doing Black Girls Fly, which is our nonprofit arm. I'm in these moments because these moments can be fleeting. You don't know. You never know. I'm not good at quoting quotes or people, but there was one quote that I created, and I said, I am not defined by my life circumstances. They only contribute to who I am. Now, that's the end of the quote. I'm going into this part because I'm not defined by a title. I have many titles. I'm multifaceted. I'm a mom. I'm a partner. I'm a student pilot. I'm a nonprofit founder. I'm a CEO. And in all of that, you can still have more. You can still have success, and not to the point of burnout, not to the point of stretching yourself thin. Know your limits, but know that when you're operating in those limits, there are others that depend on you. There are others that are looking to you, whether it's for encouragement, an uplifting hand, a word of prayer, thanks, to set you straight and check you because you got them friends too. That's there. And I think in my husband's passing, it wasn't so much me being naive or lost to the fact that he's no longer with us, because that was not the case. I was very aware of that. I had my moments of grieving. It was definitely not at the funerals, like either one. Yes, we had two. I guess I should give some color there. We had one here in the States, and he was from Trinidad. So we also had one in Trinidad where he was laid to rest. So in either one, I didn't cry. And it wasn't a sense of, I'm good, I got this. No, I just didn't cry. However, I will say after the fact, I did. I can remember driving to the job that I got. Y'all remember that? I remember driving to the job that I got, and in that commute just being like, "Why, God? Like, why would you do that? Like, why?" And granted, I know, we never know the hour, God's ways, we don't know. I got all that, but it was still, I was pissed off. I was upset. I remember just crying on the way to work. I'll say that again, on the way to work. But then I remember getting to work and I'd be fine. Not fine, but tears would be gone and you wouldn't know nonetheless. But in that commute, because the DMV is known for its traffic, in that commute, that's when I would have my moments, my questions, my whys, my not understanding, and being upset because, like, who are the girls gonna now talk to or go to or have that male figure? Again, large family, I know that, but this was different. This hit home differently. And so being able to, just as a family now, understand that we do things together. And when we do these things together, we have our moments, but we know it's because it's like our last. You never know. We don't go to sleep upset with each other. And if we are upset, we'll let the person know, hey, this still got to me. We need to talk about this later. But it's not something that we're sitting up here harboring. We just don't do that because you never know. If I'm leaving or I'm traveling somewhere, I make sure to say, hey, see you soon. Love you. If I'm flying, when I'm training as a student pilot, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to fly. I'll see y'all later. Love you. But I make it a point to let them know because you never know. Not that, hey, I'm learning still, but we safe in these skies. I'm going to say that part. All of those moments, it means something to me. And all of the opportunities, the fussing sometimes that comes with being a parent, it's all things that for me have more meaning, I think, than if the girl's dad was still here. I say the girl's dad, obviously he was my husband. But even late husband sounds kind of weird to me. Whatever, call it what you want to call it. Yeah, I think full circle for me, I wasn't supposed to be here, but I did have a chance and I am here. And the purpose of me being here is to be your bold moves bestie. Because we don't got time for slowness. Yes, life circumstances hit us. Sometimes it really does suck. Sometimes it's a gut punch. But getting back up, putting in a plan, and moving with action is what really needs to happen. Taking in stride, maybe seeking therapy. I will say for my husband's passing, I did not go to therapy. And it wasn't because I had anything against therapy. I just wasn't as talked about then as it is now. So I don't think I really even frankly considered it as an option for me. Am I okay now? I'm okay now, guys. And I'm thankful. I will say, and everything that I do is with purpose. Big vision is a gift. And I'm learning to accept the gifts and recognize the gifts that I had, including the gift of the present, including the gifts of learning from the past, and including lining up things so that we can experience life to its fullest. While I know I'm only one person, I would like to think that in sharing a little bit of me, I guess more vulnerably and deeply, will encourage you to share a little bit more of you and what you want out of life. When we take a step back and really have time to focus, that could be a walk on the beach, that could be a walk down the street, but have time to focus on what we want out of life and away from the noise and the distractions of what life tends to bring. I feel like that's when we get the clarity. For me, when I'm in prayer and fasting, or when I am just in that solid devotional time, that's when I'm able to get that clarity. And there be sometimes I ain't gonna fake. I'll be like, God, what we talking about? Holy Spirit, what's going on here? And I talk just like that. I'm so serious because I don't get it. I don't always get it all. And sometimes I'd be like, we sure we're going that way and not over here? And we like, yeah. So we have those conversations because that's what it is. And I am dead set on living out my purpose and my assignment for this life. There's only one. Why this podcast? To me, She Built Success is for the multifaceted woman. The woman who knows there's more, but might not know how to get to that more. It's for the woman who really wants to live life to its fullest. The driven, the dedicated, the persistent, the I'm not taking no until I get it this way woman. She Built Success is not just about me. You're going to get to learn some of the people that I get to interact with in my life, people that I find interesting, topics that I find interesting, discussions that I want to have. I created She Built Success because it's more than just me. She Built Success is you too. Success to me is not defined by numbers or accolades or titles for that matter. Success to me changes as well. It changes with the accomplishments or seasons of life. I want you to challenge yourself and really think about what success means to you. Not what others told you it should be, not what you think it might be, not what social media says it should be. What does success really look like for you? Write it down, journal about it, type it out, record yourself, sing. There's so many modalities that you can say what success means to you. Do that. Because until you get clear on what success is for you, these bold moves are not going to mean anything. These bold moves won't hold any weight. These bold moves will not push you forward. They will actually hold you back because you're not clear. So instead of blaming someone else, look at yourself, define success so that we can do it together. I encourage you to continue to listen, comment, subscribe, and like as we continue on this journey of what She Built Success is and what it will be. I'll catch you on the next episode. If you're done with the fluff and ready to execute on the how, then visit shebuiltsuccess.com for the tools you need. It's time to push go and dive into real strategies, genuine understanding, and concrete steps to create both more in business and life. Head on over to shebuiltsuccess.com for access to exclusive downloads, resources, and bonuses. Because moving boldly forward is not just a destination, it's a multi-layered journey. Let's grow and build your success together.